Everyone thinks that you need loads of money to start an Airbnb business. You need good connections, a network, thousands sitting in savings, but you don't. What nobody actually tells you is the thing that stops most people isn't money. It's the fact they do the steps in the wrong order. So in today's video, I want to give you the exact steps that you can use to build an Airbnb business from scratch without owning a single property. And this isn't theory, this is the exact system that I've used to build a business of over 30 Airbnb properties. I don't own a single one, and I've helped plenty of other beginners do exactly the same. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So step one is you need to set up a business. Before you do anything else, you need to register what's known as a limited liability company. This is what's going to enable you to take on a property under a company-let agreement, which will enable you to sublet it out on Airbnb to guests. So firstly, you need to get a good name. I wouldn't recommend setting your name too centered towards Airbnbs or stays. So don't set up Jono's B&Bs Limited. People are not going to take you seriously, particularly if a landlord or an estate agent was to ask you for your business name. So what I generally recommend is have something around sort of like property management or property services, living, accommodation. Those are sort of some better words to use in your business name. And that should help you appear a little bit more professional as well when you are having conversation. Once you then do have a business in place, you can also set up a professional email address and a website, which again is going to give you a little bit more online presence and help you to appear a little bit more legitimate as well. To set up your business, you can literally go to company's house and within around 20 minutes, you fill out the form and you can set your business up. So that's the first thing you need to do. Then step two is to find your location. Getting a good location for your Airbnb is so important because the location determines all the demand and who's actually going to stay at your property. So you don't want to just pick somewhere that you think works or just based off like a gut feeling. You actually want to do a little bit of research to determine what area you're going to focus on, and you shouldn't just rush this step. So in order to determine whether or not a location will be suitable for Airbnb, you need to look at the demand. So that means who are the types of guests who will be needing accommodation in your area. So you need to think about appealing to tourists, leisure guests, families, contractors, corporate stays, relocators. When you have a location that can appeal to as many of these different types of guests as possible, that's going to increase your chances of getting booked and you're not going to struggle to get bookings. You can fill out your calendar and therefore you can make the most amount of profit. So when you're deciding your location, you need to always be thinking about who would be the type of guest who would be wanting to stay in this particular location. So with all of the guys inside Host Collective, we use the gold mine area matrix to determine what a good location will be. There's 4 key pillars inside the matrix that when you find a location that hits all 4 pillars, you're guaranteed to get demand and therefore bookings for your property. And luckily for all you guys watching, I've actually built a custom GPT that will actually help you determine what is the best location for you to operate in. So within an hour-and-a-half radius of where you're currently at, it will tell you the best city or the best town to operate in based off the gold mine area matrix. And if you want access to it, all you need to do is send me the word gold mine on Instagram and I'll send it straight over to you. So once you've identified 3 to 4 good locations that are in around an hour-and-a-half radius from where you live, you can now start moving on to the next step, which is understanding the numbers. So step 3 is understand your numbers and find good deals. There's a range of different places to find good property deals online. The best places are going to be on Rightmove, Zoopla and OpenRent. This is where the majority of properties advertised for rent are going to be at. And what you can do is go through these platforms and try to find suitable properties in the locations that you've identified previously. Then once you found a good property listing that you like the look of, you need to now calculate the numbers to work out whether or not it's actually going to make sense or be a profitable Airbnb unit. So in order to determine profitability, there's 2 important numbers that you need to understand. The first one is ADR and the second one is occupancy. ADR stands for average daily rate. That is essentially how much you charge on average per night at your property. So if you charged £100 tonight and £120 tomorrow, your ADR would be £110. And your occupancy basically just refers to the number of nights you're booked in a month. That sometimes is referred to as just a single number as a number of days, or it can be in a percentage as well. So let's say you were booked 21 nights in a month, that would be your 70% occupied. Now, the next question you might have is, well, how do I determine what the ADR and occupancy rate would be? Well, what you can do is actually use a tool like AirDNA or Property Market Intel. You can put in the property address and it will tell you what the projected ADR and occupancy rate would be for that particular location. And then once you have those 2 numbers, you can then times them together to work out what your projected monthly income will be. So what you'll do is you'll times your ADR by your occupancy. So let's say, for example, your ADR was £100 and you're expected to be booked 70% of the month. You would times 100 by 21. And that would give you £2,100, and that would be your expected monthly income for that property. From there, you can then deduct all of your expenses. So the rent you will know from looking at the listing, And the rest of your bills and expenses you can calculate as well. Energy bills, you can put that into a comparison site. It will tell you exactly how much the bills are for that property. Equally for the council tax, you can go to the local council website and it will tell you how much the council tax will be for that property. And then for Wi-Fi and water, you just want to allow maybe 30 to 40 pounds for each. So then once you take away all your expenses from your projected monthly income that you calculated, you'll be left with a profit. And this will be able to determine whether or not that deal would make sense. So for any Airbnb unit in the UK, I'd recommend looking at least £700 in profit for that unit. If it makes less, I'd probably step away from the deal because it's not going to make sense. If there was any unforeseen circumstances, let's say there was a little maintenance issue you had to sort out, or the bookings were a little bit short in a certain month, you don't want to be potentially breaking even or at a profit level that just doesn't make sense. So if you can calculate making a conservative £700 a month in profit for your property, even if things were to go badly, you'll still be looking at £500 plus. But to be honest with you, when you find a good deal, you can be making at least £1,000 to £2,000 in profit every single month from one deal. And where a lot of people go wrong is they become too emotional and they skip over the maths. They get drawn to a particular property because they like the look of it or they think it would work really well, and they ignore the data, they stop looking at the numbers. That is a big red flag. And that is exactly the reason why some people lose money on their Airbnbs. You can't look at this through any subjective lens. You need to look at the numbers objectively. And if the numbers don't make sense on paper, simply walk away from the deal. But if you do find some good properties, that is great news, because what you are now ready to do is move on to step 4. And this is where you can start contacting landlords. So step 4, pitching landlords and estate agents. This is the part that everyone's scared of. I don't know why. Every beginner finds it such a daunting task, or they're so fearful of contacting agents and landlords. And if you're one of the people who is also scared, here's the way you need to think about this. All the properties that you've seen on the market are currently vacant and looking to be rented. These properties are empty and the agent or the landlord is currently looking for a tenant. So when you're calling up, you're not asking for a favor and asking them to run the property as an Airbnb. You're just simply looking to rent the property that they're letting out. You're actually solving a problem for them. Don't be necessarily grateful that somebody's giving you the opportunity to use their property. They should be grateful for you because you're going to be paying their bills, looking after the property and paying the rent every single month. So the way I like to pitch over the phone to landlords is to say that I offer professional property management services. I told them that I offer guaranteed rent. So regardless of who's in the property, I pay the rent every single month on the same day that they ask for. I also take care of minor maintenance within the property. So that means if things need changing, like light bulbs, there's a little leak under the tap, loose door handle, or there's a scuff wall that needs a lick of paint, these are all things that I will take care of. So for the landlord, this is stress-free property management. I'm going to take care and literally manage the property for them while also guaranteeing them their rent. On top of that, we've also got a professional cleaning team that will go into the property every single week and make sure the property is in a high standard. It is in my best interest to ensure the property is maintained to a high standard in order to attract my clients. And last but not least, I'm also looking to take the property on a long-term contract, anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So I'm going to be able to guarantee your rent for the foreseeable future. You don't have to worry about your property. So that's the way that I pitch landlords. And as you can see, there's a lot of value that we offer them. At the end of the day, a landlord only cares about their rent being paid and the property being well maintained. So when you can offer that solution to their problems, or you can show the value in working with yourself, you're greatly increasing the chances of you being able to secure that deal. And I'm not saying that every single landlord will be open to it. You might get a few no's, but you need to remember you only need that one yes. You just need that one deal. So when you are pitching over the phone, do as much as you can to reassure them and even try and book in a viewing. Once you're in person, you can meet with them, you can describe your business model a little bit more, they can see your face, they'll have a lot more trust in you and therefore a lot more likely to trust you with their property. But once you find a landlord that says yes, you can go see the property in person, go view it, put in an offer, and if it gets accepted, you then sign contracts and then pick up the keys. And then you're ready for step 5, setting up your property. So this mainly involves furnishing and staging the unit. Majority of properties out on the open market come unfurnished. So it's going to be your job to furnish the property, organize all the furniture to be delivered, set the property up with all the decor and get it nicely presented for your first set of guests. And this is another step where a lot of people go wrong, either massively going over their budget or taking way too long to get the property set up. So it's so important that throughout this process that you're organized. You know exactly what your budget is, where you're going to organize and purchase all your furniture from so that you can move efficiently and get your property ready as quickly as possible. Because if it takes you 2 weeks to get your property set up, that's 2 weeks that nobody's inside the property paying you money. And if you've already had to pay your rent, that's just eating into your rent period. So for a lot of beginners who take on their first unit, it means their first month isn't profitable because it took them way too long to get the property prepared. So I can't stress enough how important it is for you to be organized and to make sure you have everything needed for your unit. And the second thing that's really important is to ensure that you're equipping your property with all the necessary amenities. So what I mean by amenities is essentially all the things that guests have access to during their stay. So that's things like hair dryers, ironing boards, shampoo, towels. The idea is that a lot of these amenities are going to be searchable filters that guests are looking for when they're searching on platforms like Airbnb and Booking.com. And a guest might be looking for something specific in their stay. It could be like a washing machine or a desk for people to work from. It could be a cot for their baby. And the idea is that the more of these amenities that you have, you're going to increase the chance of you being able to secure the booking because a guest would have filtered out all the competition in your local area. So some really good ones to put in are a cot, like I've just mentioned, a high chair, a desk for people to work from, a tumble dryer if you can fit one inside your property, and if you've got stairs at your property, putting in the child safety gates. This means that your property can appeal to a range of different types of guests, such as families, leisure seekers, contractors, or corporate clients. And then once you've got your property fully furnished and it's staged, you then need to organize professional photography. So that means you get a professional photographer to come to take good pictures of your unit. This is so important because you need to build a good quality listing, and that starts from your pictures. When a guest is deciding what property they want to book on Airbnb or Booking.com or any other platform, the first thing they look at is the pictures. So if they take 2 seconds to look through a couple of pictures, they don't like the look of it, they'll move on to the next one. So it's so important that you invest good money into your photography to ensure that you're presenting your property with its best foot forward. And then once your property's set up, you're then ready for step 6, which is management and systems. The first most important system that you're going to need is a way of managing your cleaning. The cleaning is the most important operation inside your business. Every time a guest checks out, you need your cleaners to go into the property, prepare it, get it cleaned, change the linen, replace all the towels, and top up the amenities or soaps and tissues and stuff like that, and just get it ready for your next set of guests. If this is not done well or correctly, it's going to lead to you getting negative reviews on your listing, which is pretty much the worst thing that can happen inside an Airbnb business, because it's all about the reputation of your property. Bad reviews means people are not going to book it. So it's so important that you get the cleaning right and you have a good quality cleaner that is going to be thorough and to get the property prepared for your next set of guests. One thing they'll also do is just to ensure that everything is still functioning inside the property. So they'll check all the taps, check for any leaks, to make sure that nothing's been broken, nothing's been left under the beds, the Wi-Fi is still working, the batteries are in the TV. There's a load of things they need to be checking because running an Airbnb is very much a hospitality-based business. So one of your first tasks will be to find a reliable cleaner. Luckily for us, cleaners are very easy to find. You can do a simple Google search, or you can look on Facebook, Gumtree, some specific websites like TaskRabbit. And what you should do is interview a few cleaners, get them to come over to the property and see which one you like the best before you commit to one. It's also crucial that you have a backup cleaner. So I'd recommend interviewing at least 3 to 4, just so you've got someone on call in case there's any last minute disasters. Then similarly, just like your cleaner, you also need to have a good handyman on call. So this is going to be the person who will go to the property in case there's any maintenance issues. Let's say a few light bulbs need changing, or the toilet's not flushing, or one of the pictures has fallen off the wall. You need someone who's going to be able to go to the property whenever you need in order to get the property fixed. And it's very important you have someone reliable because, again, this is a hospitality-based business. Guests are going to expect things to be done quickly and issues to be resolved fairly promptly as well. So once you've got a good cleaner and a handyman, you've now got your power team members. You can start looking at setting up a property management system. This is also sometimes called a channel manager. What this is essentially a platform that's going to enable you to manage all of your bookings, manage your property and all your listings. One of the biggest functions of it is that it will synchronize your calendar between all the different websites that your property is advertised on. So you can have it on Expedia, Agoda, Booking.com, Airbnb, and it means as soon as you get booked on one platform, it will automatically block your calendar everywhere else, so you can't get double booked. It can also automate a lot of processes for you as well. One of the biggest will be your automated messages. This means you can send guest messages at different points throughout their stay automatically through the system. So you don't have to message your guests yourself every time they make a new booking. The system will automatically thank them for booking and give them all the information they need before check-in. Another thing that you can do is also add in your cleaner to the system so they can also view the calendar. They can view when the bookings are coming up and they know exactly when they need to clean the property. And there's plenty more features that the property management system has as well. But once you've got it in place, it's going to make your life a lot simpler and make your property a lot easier to manage on a day-to-day basis. The goal for us is to build ourselves an Airbnb business. And I put an emphasis on the word business. So that means you're not building yourself a second job or just a little side hustle. You want to generate yourself a business that means you can make money in your sleep without you needing to be involved too much in the day-to-day operations and getting involved with the management. The business can run without you or remotely wherever you want to be in the world. So that means for a lot of people who are currently working in a 9-to-5 job, they can still run their business at the side while they're still at work. Before maybe they're in a position where their Airbnb business makes them enough in order for them to quit their job. But the whole idea here is that you're building systems from day one to make this business as hands-off as possible. And once you've got all the systems in place, you're then ready for step 7, which is reinvest and scale. After you've been running your property for several months, you would have got a feel for how it works. Your landlord will be happy with you because you're paying your rent on time, you're looking after the property, and you would have been generating a lot of profits from your unit. Once you now understand the process, it's also going to give you a lot of confidence to then reinvest into your next unit. So this is the time where you can start looking at acquiring more deals. And the lucky thing for you is that at this point, it's going to make it a lot easier than it was from going from step 1 to 6, because you've already got a track record. You can prove to other landlords that you've got proof of concept. You know exactly how to manage the properties. You've got a portfolio that you can actually show them. So if they want to see evidence of how you work, you can just point them in the direction of your website or show them some evidence of your bookings. And that's how you go from one unit to a proper portfolio. You just reinvest the profits from one deal and you put it into the next unit. So you don't need to start with 10. As long as you start with 1 and you get that right, it's going to give you the foundations and the platform to then keep acquiring more. And within a 12-month period, there's no limit to how much you can scale. In 1 year, I took on 14 properties in the space of 12 months because I had the system nailed and I was confident in the process. So that's literally it. That is exactly how I'd start an Airbnb business from scratch without owning a single property. So there's literally no secret to it. You don't need any connections or any previous experience with property. You can literally start with finding properties that are out there on the open market. Once you know how to calculate the numbers, how to speak with landlords to start acquiring deals, set the unit up and get everything systemized, the business runs like clockwork. But the issue is a lot of people watch videos like this and start nodding along saying, yeah, it sounds good, without taking any meaningful actions. So if you are someone who's serious about getting started and you want some support along your journey, there's a link in the description you can go check out, and it will give you some information about how I can help you and support you on your journey building your own Airbnb business. So the link's in the description, you can go check it out, or drop me a message on Instagram if you've got any questions or you want to connect. But if the video was useful or you found it helpful, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want me to go deeper on any other topics that I've spoken about or any of these steps in further detail, just comment it down below and I'll make another video about that going forward. But I appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.